everyone. Welcome back to another exciting episode of The Book Boat. I am one of your co-hosts, Jocelyn.
And I'm Alejandra, and this is our 9th episode, which I feel like we've hit a few milestones in the past few days. I think, oh man, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's either 200 listens, 200 or 300. That's going to be really bad.
It was 300.
Yes, 300 listens, which is super exciting. We've also hit 100 Instagram followers, which is also very, very exciting. So thank you to everybody who's been listening and who's been following us on Instagram. It truly, truly means a lot to us.
It really does. Like I said, this little tiny project of ours has kind of turned into this amazing project. And even the fact that we're on the 9th episode, and I know like both you and I have had really like chaotic weeks the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like all this other stuff going on. And so I always like feel we've had to reschedule some like tapings of our episode. And I always just feel like a little bad because it's like, oh my God, no, I don't want to like this to be like forgotten. But it's just because we've just been so busy, but it's always in my heart.
Yes, and it's funny because like whenever you message about rescheduling it, like you always seem really like you feel really bad about it, and I'm like, no, like we're in the same profession, so I definitely know what it's like. But I definitely know what it's like the first time I think I asked you as well. I was like, oh, can we reschedule? Because I just feel bad because I don't want you to ever think that I'm like forgetting about this.
Yeah,
I'm not. Like obviously it's I don't know, it's very special to me, but I definitely get it, and I hope you know that if we ever have to reschedule, it's totally fine. Like we're gonna get it done.
And the same goes for me. It's honestly, we have crazy lives. So
yeah, which you're in the middle of conferences. So how's that going?
Interesting. So one, because it's over Zoom, and so I feel like Zoom glitches, and then we're all just like sitting there staring at the parents like
yeah
because they can't hear them. And but it's also been very interesting because we show the students we show the grades, and the students have to then tell their parents like, why I have this grade. And it's so funny that I've had quite a few where I'm just like, nope, that's not true. But luckily I'm like one of those teachers that like keeps the proof.
And so I think that's so important. Like it sucks to say, but it's like at the same, like it's one of the things I like about this distance learning is that all of their work is in one spot kind of. So you're able to show them what it is. And because I think you have like the older kids, they're able to take that responsibility a little bit more.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it's very eye-opening. Then there's also some parents who I just like, I've never met, but they just are like, we're just so thankful that you're like, I have a lot of like Spanish speakers, so they're emergent multilinguals.
Yeah.
And this is like their first American school. And the parents are like, we're just so happy that like everyone here is supporting my child. Like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm just like, it's those parents that like we get off of the call and we're like, oh, they were sweet to us.
Yeah, like it's never like I don't feel like I need parents to ever like, I don't know, tell me that I'm doing a good job, but it's just such a nice feeling. Like it just makes me think like, okay, I'm okay. But it's so nice. If you're a parent out there listening, like it truly means a lot to us. Like makes our hearts all warm and fuzzy.
Just a simple thank you.
Yes.
Honestly, that's all that, like, I just like to be said, like, just sometimes just a thank you for doing what you're doing. And I'm just like, you know what? It's okay. Like, I will do this every single day of my life. It just, the little thank yous just make me happy. So yes, let's go ahead and dive right into our episode. So this week we are doing it on non-traditional Thanksgiving. And the premise for this is that Thanksgiving is just right around the corner. And we really wanted to kind of highlight some books that are like non-traditional, because there may be some students who don't celebrate Thanksgiving or may not have the typical quote unquote Thanksgiving food that we portray. And so we wanted to do this episode for that reason.
Yeah, like you were saying, I think it's such an important topic, and I've read both of the books we're going to mention, and I think that they're both really great at kind of handling this, because I don't know, like when I think of Thanksgiving, it's just like, I don't want to say cheesy, but it's like you think of this like turkey and mashed potatoes and stuffing, and I don't know, like I feel like along the line Thanksgiving has kind of lost its thing of like, I don't know, like for me at least, I'd want it to be like a holiday where you just take a moment to like appreciate things you're thankful for, whether it's something like I don't know, as small as like, I'm thankful that I have a roof over my head. And it's not just all about this like crazy shopping that happens the day after and stuffing myself with turkey.
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah. Do you want to go first or should I go
Yeah.
first?
I can go first.
Okay.
So the book I have picked was No Turkey for Thanksgiving. I originally found this book because it was like a duck for Thanksgiving, or I can't
Yeah.
remember but it
They've
was
changed
changed.
titles. Yeah.
Yes. And one, I love this book because, so let me just give a summary of it. The character, she goes to school and she comes home and she has like this little pine cone, this turkey that she made out of pine cone in school. And so
Hmm.
she's like talking to her family, being like, "We have to have turkey." And her family's like, "No, we don't do turkey. We do duck." And she kind of feels like she goes along, the story like just kind of unfolds about how they go by the turkey, or they go by the duck, and she's just like, oh, like she's with her family, and her family still does like things like I'm thankful for at dinner, all of that stuff.
Hmm.
But it what happens at the end, and which I think is just super adorable, is they come back from Thanksgiving break, and the teacher's like, okay, like tell me what you had for Thanksgiving, and everyone have a turkey? And she didn't raise her hand, and she almost was like embarrassed, like she got really like
Hmm.
sad and she wanted to cry. And the teacher was like, why? And she's like, well, we didn't have uh turkey for Thanksgiving, we had a duck. And she just felt like in that moment she felt shame because she's like, I'm not fitting this Thanksgiving mold.
Hmm.
And what makes it really cute is that then students raise their hand and be like, well, I didn't have that either, I had ham, or I had roast beef, or I had enchiladas. And someone was like, well, I had tofu turkey. And it just turns into like this like awesome moment that makes her feel really good. And
Hmm.
so I really love that book for just that like moment at the end where it's like all these students are then just saying like what they have. And then I think it was also very, a good point about this is that she went to school and she made this like turkey out of a pine cone, which kind of gave her that notion. Like she had this preconceived notion now, like this
Hmm.
is what my Thanksgiving is supposed to look like. And so it made her feel bad. And when I was reading this book, I kind of had a moment of like, wow, like I, next time when we're in person, or even like what I'm planning on doing with my students, is
Hmm.
instead of saying like, oh, like everybody's gonna have turkey for Thanksgiving, I should have like, I'm gonna take a step back and be like, what do you do for Thanksgiving? Do you even celebrate
Yeah.
Thanksgiving? Do you even have turkey? Like, and that was a very like moment where I was sitting there reading that and I was like, I want to do this with my kids. So that rather than,
Hmm.
yes, they can make their cute handprint turkeys if it comes down to it, but I think it's good to like also move away from those stereotypes, because there are different families who are
Yeah.
having pork or having enchiladas or having
Hmm.
tofu turkey, and you don't want a kid to feel bad. It's like, oh, I'm not having like the quote unquote normal Thanksgiving dinner, and because each family is different.
Yeah, yeah, it's really funny as you were mentioning that. It made me think back to, I think it was one of the episodes we did about like summer break and like
Mhm.
asking kids like what you did for summer break and kind of assuming that maybe they like traveled or did all these things when sometimes there's kids who don't have that luxury or have parents who are able to get time off from work to, I don't know, travel during the summer. So it made me think of that, and it's hard because like again, we never want to assume anything, but
Yeah,
then it's just so easy to like ask something like, oh, what'd you do for Thanksgiving? Did you have turkey? Like it's just so natural and it's become such a norm um to ask, so I think it's definitely something that we have to be thinking about, and it's
yes,
hard, and it's just like I always say this, and like I also realize that we have so much going on as teachers. But yeah, I read that book and I was going to pick it up first, but I'm glad you picked it because I picked something else. But yeah, when I was growing up, my mom didn't make turkey. Like I remember one year she wanted to make tamales, and I was just so angry because I think when I was little, like I just wanted to fit in so badly and like fit this typical mold of like a
mhm.
Thanksgiving turkey dinner. Um, and it's so funny. She reminds me, I think the president at the time actually also talked about having tamales for dinner, and she's like, the president is doing it, like it's fine. I just thought it was so funny. And now like we don't ever really make turkey. We actually make chicken, like Cornish game hens,
Ooh,
which I don't know, we're not big turkey people, so we have chicken, and I don't know, it's just like, yeah, it's something that I do, and I think just showing the kids that it's normal to not have that is totally fine. Like if you have turkey, great. If you have ham, great. If you are vegan and have tofurkey, then you know what, you're vegan and you have that. So it's totally fine to be different. And I think that's something that needs to be accepted.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of, tamales are awesome. My
Yes.
mom only makes them during Christmas, which is I feel is like your like standard Mexican thing to do on Christmas. But it makes me so sad because I wish we had tamales for Thanksgiving. Like, come on, who
Yeah,
wouldn't?
like looking at it now, I'm like, why would I ever say no to
No.
tamales during Thanksgiving? But
Well,
yeah, like we usually do it during the holidays as well. And I don't know why that one year she wanted to do it earlier. But anyways, I was just like so set on like, no, we have to have turkey. And I think we even like I bugged her so much that I think one year we got like the pre-cooked dinner traditional thing. And it
yeah.
was so funny because I think we thought that it was gonna be already cooked, and we went to pick it up like a few hours before dinner, and everything was frozen, and it was just like, it's just like a day I couldn't forget. So
Yeah.
yeah, non-traditional dinners, I love it.
It's you know what? Non-traditional Thanksgiving dinners are such a reflection of like those families. And you're just like, I want to be part, I want to have them all. I love my turkey, like I love all of
Yeah,
that. But sometimes like I want to just go explore other people's families, like see what are you guys
yeah.
having? Yeah. So
Um,
going, oh, sorry, did I interrupt?
no, but now before we do this, we always think of like an ending question and challenge, but I just thought of one, so hopefully I don't forget it. I should write it
Don't
down.
forget, write it down.
But yeah, sorry, I interrupted you and now we're interrupted.
No,
I
it's
forgot
okay.
where I was going.
I was just gonna go with we always ask our three standard questions when it comes to um, rating books or just reviewing them, and it's who
Mm.
writes the stories, who benefits from the stories, and who's missing from the stories. So on mine is who writes the story. So this is actually from an author named Jacqueline. I want to say it's so French, but it's Jacqueline Jules. She's an American writer and she was a librarian. She has written over 40 children's books, and she actually has like 2 popular series. Um, so it's kind of like one of those things where I I like love that she has experience as a librarian and
Mm-hmm.
everything, but she is writing about a different culture in the book. And so sometimes I'm always like hesitant
Mm-hmm.
to make sure like no stereotypes are being portrayed and all the cultures are being represented fairly.
Yeah.
So I am always hesitant, but I think she did a really good job in this book with that. And then who benefits from the stories? I think everyone does. Um,
Mm-hmm.
First, students who may not know or children may not know that there's something outside of just turkey for Thanksgiving, and then families who are from or children whose families don't have turkey. Like I think that's something awesome to see. I love like even myself now love learning about other people's family traditions. Like what like one of my favorite questions to ever ask people is like what are your family's traditions during holidays? Because I just
Yeah.
like knowing that like it's such a like a little snapshot of like what they do. Like my mom
Mm-hmm.
is very big on like drinking eggnog and decorating the tree with
Oh.
and listening to Christmas music. So it's like now living outside of my parents' home and living with roommates, that's the first thing I was like, guess what we're doing? But it's like I love just like seeing little snapshots of people's
Yeah.
life. So I
And
think
I'm sure your mom loves seeing you kind of like how something that she loves to do has now like been passed on to you.
yeah. And even with that, like this is gonna be super random and off topic, but speaking of like traditions, yesterday I woke up and I was craving hot chocolate, but being Mexican, it's the abuelita hot chocolate, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
certain way that my grandma makes it. And so I like text my mom and was like, "Hey, do you know how to make like abuela's chocolate?" And she was like, "No, you have to text her." And so, but it was like, and this I have to. It's on my like things to do is like call grandma and
Oh,
ask her how she makes it. And it's just like if you've had abuelita chocolate, you know that stuff is the best hot
yeah.
chocolate in the world.
It's
So
good. Yeah.
yeah, who's missing from the stories? I really don't think anybody's missing from this story. You see just the
Mm.
main characters and the main family, but then you get to see a little bit of a snapshot from everybody else's family traditions at the end. So I think it's like a well-rounded book.
Yeah, I almost wish they would do like a sequel where they feature like another one of the students that was
Yeah.
in that classroom. Like that would be really cute to then have like, I don't know, this series of like all of the students in the class sharing how their Thanksgiving was celebrated. That'd be kind of cool. They need to get on that.
Yeah. Oh,
um,
absolutely.
yeah, but I definitely love your book. So the book that I picked is called Gracias, the Thanksgiving Turkey. Um, and the author is Joy Cowley. I don't know. Sorry, I'm very sorry. I'm like, every time I mess up the name, I'm like, we did a whole name
Callie?
episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, hopefully. Yeah, so I got this book a few years ago and I'm really bummed because I went to go look for it in my classroom and I couldn't find it because everything, of course, is in boxes. But there's a video on YouTube, which by the way, this is very off topic, but Alyssa, I know you're listening because you say you listen, so hopefully you're listening. She said she did one of the books we did for elections. She showed it to her
Oh.
class. But I don't know if she like didn't get it in time or something. So she did the YouTube video
Mhm.
for the Grace for President. So I did it with my class too, the video, which I thought was a little different than just me reading it. And they loved it. So thank you, Alyssa, for showing me the video. Anyways, I got off topic, but yes, Gracias the Thanksgiving Turkey. It's about this boy who I believe he lives with his grandparents, and his dad is actually a like truck driver, like the really big trucks that's like driving across the country delivering stuff. So his dad isn't able to be there on the weeks leading up to Thanksgiving, and he sorry, he sends them like this big package, and in it is a turkey, like a live turkey. Um, and the little boy, the main character, then kind of befriends the turkey who he calls Gracias. And they just become like these really great pals. And of course, you don't want to eat your pet. So then he starts to panic because he's obviously super excited to see his dad. He hasn't seen his dad in weeks because his dad's like working.
Mhm.
So he's like worried because he's like, my dad sent me this like turkey that we're gonna have for Thanksgiving. I've now befriended the turkey. Like, what do I do? So I think it's super cute. And I really love that the book incorporates words in Spanish, obviously with the turkey's name. But when he's talking about like the grandparents, it's abuelo and abuela. So I just love the whole Spanglish mix because that's kind of how I talk all the time with my students, which is probably not the best. But so yeah, the little boy befriends the turkey. They kind of go on all these little adventures, and he has to figure out what to do to like not eat his pet. So I don't want to spoil it because I want our listeners to hopefully go and get the book and read it for themselves. But there's a lot of parts that I liked about this story because it talks about a little boy who like lives in this small apartment, and we're in the Bay Area, and so many of my like students live in small apartments and can relate to that. I love the fact that he talks about not really seeing his dad because his dad's off working, and I just know that a lot of my students as well, like their parents are working the whole day, so sometimes they don't get to see them, or the little boy's living with grandparents. And I know right now, especially with distance learning, a lot of my students are either staying with grandparents or grandparents are coming over and watching them during school. So I love that it highlights that friendship or relationship between grandchild and grandparent. I love like the idea of not eating turkey either. Like they have to figure out what are they going to eat instead of a turkey because they befriended it. So there's just like a lot of little aspects that I love about this story. And it's super cute, and yeah, that's my spiel.
Yeah, that sounds like a really cute book. And as you were talking about it, I was like, I could totally relate to this kid of like, I'm getting delivered a live turkey, and I'm like, I'm not gonna kill it. I'm gonna name it. Like,
Yeah,
this
like
is
how are
my
you
pet now. Like, what?
yes, how are you gonna eat your own pet now? Like,
Yeah.
so I just love that, like, especially because I don't know, kids get attached to stuff. They're not gonna want
Yeah.
to eat their pet.
Super relatable.
Yeah. So I love this, and I've read it in the past, and we do the like cheesy crafts with the turkey and like what we're thankful for around the turkey, for the wings. So I love doing that cheesy stuff as well. But I think just as we've like, I don't know, our country has become so diverse, like things are different. Thanksgiving isn't celebrated the way it was, I don't know, 50 years ago, 100 years,
Yeah.
however many years ago. Like things are changing, and it's fine. And I think it makes me kind of happy that hopefully my students are able to see that, it doesn't have to be a turkey. Back like when I was in school and I kind of felt the pressure as a little kid that I needed to have turkey.
Yeah.
So yes, our 3 questions. So who writes the story? So the author of this book, Joy, she's from New Zealand, and Jocelyn and I actually had this conversation beforehand where we kind of felt like, oh, are we like doing a disservice? Because like a big thing for us is making sure our stories are authentic. And it's hard because like I love this book, like, and I think it's totally fair to love a book, but then also also being aware that maybe this person isn't a person maybe of that culture, which like I was telling Jocelyn, I was like, it's kind of funny. She's from New Zealand and we're talking about an American holiday.
Mhm.
And it's talking about a kid who, I mean, I'm assuming is Latino because he speaks Spanish. And in the book, he has a little bit darker skin. So I'm assuming, you know, he is Latino and
Yeah.
the author is from New Zealand. So I was a little torn about that, but I love the story and I love the fact that it is in Spanish and English. So at the same time, I'm like, I can't not read it just because of that, you know? So we had that kind of conversation beforehand. The who benefits from the story. Again, like I think it's important that they show this kid who lives in an apartment and who spends a lot of time with grandparents, whose parent works outside of the home for many hours. Like I think so
Mhm.
many of our students could see themselves in this character. And the who's missing from the story, it's such a tough one because I don't really know what's missing. I think it's a really great story. I think I don't know, even like the fact I didn't really talk about it, but I don't think they mentioned mom, which I think is something that's very interesting because
Yeah.
sometimes a book might be about like a single mom, but this might be about a single dad, and that's why grandparents are super involved. So I think it would have been nice to maybe talk about it a little bit, but at the
Yeah.
same time, just having it there and kind of accepting it as the norm is kind of nice too. Um, but yeah, I think we did good with these books.
Yeah, I think we did good with them. It is good to have these non-traditional Thanksgiving books that are options. And
Hmm.
as you were talking about, like doing the cheesy activities with like the
Yeah.
turkeys and everything, there is an activity we did last year. If anybody would like to do this, if like students aren't celebrating Thanksgiving or
Hmm.
having turkey, we did thankful trees because I mean everybody has something to be thankful for.
Oh.
So the way that it is like the students made trees out of crumpling paper and then like gluing it
Hmm.
onto this. And then we had like we gave them out sheets of like red, yellow, and orange, and there was like
Yeah.
leaves, so they can cut out the leaves, and then they would write things like, "Oh, I'm thankful for," and they would put it on their
Oh.
trees, and then we gave them the option to go around to their like friends in
Hmm.
class or like to all of their classmates and write something that they're thankful for about them. So it was very nice, like
Ah.
to still like do something that's like Thanksgiving, but not so like Thanksgiving-y in case a student doesn't
Yeah.
celebrate. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And actually, when you mentioned that, it reminded me one year when I was in the classroom, I did this like giant tree thing with construction
Uh-huh.
paper in my classroom, and I cut out a bunch of leaves, and they did something super similar where they would write something that they were thankful for. Or I also had them write something that they saw somebody else do that was really kind, like a shout
Yeah.
out type of thing, and they wrote it on the leaf, and we filled in our tree with like these fall colored leaves. So
Mhm.
I love that idea, and I think it's good because I mean, yeah, some students might not celebrate it, but it's nice to, I don't know, still be being thankful can, I think, work.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess that's it for
Oh wait,
today.
do we want to talk about our
Oh,
challenge and
yes,
question? So my
yes.
question was, before I forgot, I wrote it down. I want to know maybe what are some non-traditional things our listeners do for Thanksgiving, or they've
Okay.
heard their students do, or I just like because when you were bringing it up, how you like to hear about it, I was like, oh yeah, like I want to hear about this too. So yes, please leave us a comment when we post about this episode. I'll try to make sure I remember to write the question as well, but yeah, let us know what are some like non-traditional Thanksgiving things you do, either for dinner or ways you celebrate the holiday. So yeah, please let us know.
And then our challenge. Whew, this is. I was thinking something Thanksgiving based, but then I realized like not everybody's going to be posting pictures on Thanksgiving, but maybe post a picture of your favorite dish you're looking forward to
Ooh,
for
yes.
Thanksgiving and tag us.
Let's make us
So
all hungry. Yeah.
yeah, let's get those Thanksgiving bellies ready.
Yes. So yeah, like since this is going around Thanksgiving time, like I'm just super thankful for you, Jocelyn, and for all of our listeners. Like this project could not be possible without our listeners, really. So thank you so much for all your support. And I want to give a shout out to you, especially for our San Jose State College.
Oh yeah.
They have been amazing. Like I'm just like the first time they like reposted us, I was just like super thankful. And the fact that they've done it every single time we posted an episode, like it truly it means a lot. Like I don't think I hope they know that, we don't just like forget about it. Like it truly means a lot that they're posting, and they're not just posting it like on their story, they post it on their blog, they post it on their Facebook page. So thank you so much to the person who's running the San Jose State page. It truly, truly means a lot. And I'm extremely thankful for you helping promote this podcast. So thank you.
Yes. Yes. I did it to all that. Really. Thank you to San Jose. They have really just been so amazing with like sharing our podcast and just such a great support system, even though we don't go there anymore. Just that is a good school to know that even when you're not going there, they're still supporting you. And then thank you to you, Alejandra. This was your idea. And every time we record, I am just super thankful that this is a thing. And thank you to all our listeners who give great feedback, who listen every single week. It really means a lot to us. It really does.
Oh, that made me all like warm and fuzzy.
I know. Now we can end on a positive.
Yeah, especially this year has been super crazy, but there's still a lot of things we can all be thankful for. So let's just make sure you thank somebody as well.
Yes.
But yeah, we are wrapping up another episode, our 9th episode. Next episode will be 10. So I'm super excited. So again, thank you so much to everybody who is listening. Please make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you are listening, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever. Please subscribe. Give us a rating, of course. 5 stars would be amazing, and leave us a review. Like I really go and check the reviews because I want to see what you guys are writing. Follow our YouTube. We do record all of our episodes if you would like to see us, and I talk a lot with my hands, so you'll see a lot of that in our videos. So yes, please watch our video if you would like. Follow our Instagram at _bookboat. We post pictures of the books that we talk about. That's where we kind of interact a lot with our listeners. So we would love for you to join our community and like us on Facebook. If you search the Book Boat, I'm sure you will find us. But I want to say Instagram is where we're really at. So follow our Instagram.
Yes.
And thank you so much, everybody, for listening. And I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving if you celebrate, or just a wonderful fall season.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Till next time.
Bye.